It's early March 2022. I just realized this week that it's been 2 full years since this global health crisis emerged. I remember 2 years ago, I had booked some professional training for myself, and so I was traveling from my home in Canada down to Phoenix, Arizona for 3 days of training. And I remember that I got a little cold. I had a little bit of a cold on just like the day before I left. I was stressed, too busy, trying to get too many things done. And so got a cold. And so I distinctly remember joking with the other people that I was participating in this training with. I was saying, oh no, don't worry about this sniffle. It's not really COVID. Well, funny thing, hey, when you look back on those kinds of things 2 years later, oh my word. It's been 2 years, and I was noticing from within myself a little bit, but definitely with the people that I talk to in my therapy office, people are experiencing the blues. That's the way I'm going to put it. People are experiencing the blues, just sort of a low-grade, deep fatigue with all the stuff that's been going on over the past 2 years and where we are now. And it got me thinking, okay, we're out of the crisis mode, we're out of the, oh my word, let's freak out and panic, and we're into just a different phase of this. And it got me thinking, got me reflecting, and I want to share some perspectives with you, and also I want to share some helpful things with you. While we're at it, why don't you just click subscribe right now and click a like, because you're going to like this conversation. And definitely you're going to want to hear more videos. You want to keep track of my channel because I've got a ton of great videos on mental health, particularly mental health in these days of this medical health emergency, this global situation. So first of all, you may have noticed that lots of people are claiming that the global emergency is over. Oh, okay. I've noticed that it's just not on the news anymore. It used to be, at the beginning it was the only news story on the 6 o'clock news, and it's sort of faded and it became just one of the stories. But now suddenly, just I think in the past couple of weeks, it's no longer a story. It's no longer a story. And people aren't talking about it in the same way at all. Now, there's various possible explanations for that. One explanation is that, case numbers are just radically reduced and dropped, and it's just not a news story anymore. That's one possible explanation. You can go with that if you want. Another possible explanation, of course, is that in the US at least, there's midterm elections coming up soon in a few months, and the Democrat Party doesn't want people to have their attention on COVID and the management of the COVID crisis.
Don't you ever say that again.
The medical health emergency. Voters aren't going to be very excited about that when it comes time to cast their ballot. And so one theory is, let's shove the global pandemic story away and let's focus on the economy or some other more enticing election talking point. Of course, also in the past 2 weeks, suddenly there is this Ukraine-Russia crisis on the global stage. And of course, that's a good, interesting hypothesis for why we aren't interested in the global health pandemic anymore. Take your choice. The important point from a mental health perspective, however, is that, and I think this sort of speaks to why we're all experiencing the global health emergency blues these days, is because we haven't got closure on the global health emergency. Closure is a really important thing from a emotional, psychological, even a spiritual perspective. We need closure. We need to know how the story ends, and we need to sort of validate that the story has ended. So, a couple of examples from life, right? When a loved one passes away, what do? We gather together. At least traditionally, what we did is we gathered together as a community, and we had a funeral ritual. And that ritual is actually really, really important because it gives people a communal opportunity to grieve and sort of declare closure. That person that we just said some lovely things about, they've died and they've passed away and they're gone. And so now we can sort of collectively say, chapter closed. That's one example of a closure experience. On a more broader scale, when one of the world wars ended.
This mighty demonstration is featured by distinguished persons.
What happened was there was a parades. After those wars ended and peace treaties were signed, then there was essentially a ritual, but a different ritual, because there were parades, ticker tape parades, when the troops came home to their home country, and the point is it was a collective marking of the ending of that bad thing. And so again, there was closure. With this global health emergency, which has been termed a war by various political leaders in the past, there's no parade, there's no funeral, there's no sort of official declaration of it's over. In my fantasy, what I would love for the science,
because I represent science,
to come on CNN, and I would love for him to declare, wow, we did such a good job, and citizens have done such a good job that it's over now. The peace treaty has been signed and it's over now, and we can all go back to normal. We can all get back to our lives. Of course, the problem with that is that the science isn't going to go on CNN and say that. That's not in the cards. The science has been conspicuously missing. I haven't seen him in at least 2 weeks. I haven't kept track, but I haven't seen him on any media in at least 2 weeks. The more suspicious part of that is that some persons have said that that going back to normal is a fantasy or is a fiction.
So people assume we are just going back to the good old world which we had, and everything will be normal again in how we are used to normal, in the old fashion. This is, let's say, fiction. It will not happen.
We're not going to go back to normal. That would be the waste of a good global health emergency. So what do we do with that? Well, we need to recognize that, in fact, we aren't going to get the rituals of closure that would be really helpful for our psyche. So we have to turn elsewhere, and we have to turn within ourselves to get the emotional, psychological, spiritual tools that we need to, on one hand, declare closure for ourselves. What does that mean? What does that look like? Well, what that could be is I'm going to have a funeral within my own self, within my own psyche, within my own imagination, where I just sort of look around at my environment and I notice, I just intentionally draw my attention to the signs of normal. In your locale, you may be able to go back to, restaurants and bars and gyms and theater. Perhaps where you're living, that might not be happening for a couple of weeks because of political winds blowing. Might not be about the actual epidemiological data, it might be about the political winds. But nevertheless, looking around and identifying the signs and the indicators of normal. Where I'm located right now, I look around and I see life is going on as per usual. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trust my senses. I'm going to trust my senses. What I see, what I hear, what I smell, what I taste, and what I feel is normal. So I'm just going to use my senses and trust my senses and declare it's over now. And part of that also is I'm going to have a funeral for the losses that I've experienced. So, dearly beloved, we've gathered here together to remember our good friend 2020 and 2021, which is going to be sorely missed, for the lost learning of our children that are in school, for our lost revenue in our businesses, and our lost relationships that have been sacrificed in the past 2 years. We're going to grieve those losses. So that's one thing that we can do for our mental health, is we can declare normal for ourselves and using our senses, and we can also bring closure for ourselves by having a funeral for what we've lost. So yeah, it's dead. 2020, 2021, it's dead. The other thing we need to do is we need to recognize that, as some people have declared, and myself included, what we have experienced over the past 2 years is a collective trauma. And so we need trauma recovery resources for our mind and our body and our nervous system. Subscribe to my YouTube channel and click like on this video, and go back to my YouTube channel and you'll find a whole range of exactly that, trauma recovery resources that you can use yourself to restabilize your mind and your body and your nervous system to recover from this collective trauma. I have a full range of videos that explain tools that work and also help you to decide for yourself if you need to seek out professional help to really specifically target the aspects of trauma that you've experienced and you need to recover from, with a little bit more strategic interventions from a skilled and well-trained therapist or coach. What I'd really like is for you to subscribe to my channel, click like, that really helps other people to find my resources, and jam a comment in the comment section. I'd love to hear from people. Do you like this conversation? Do you hate this conversation? What else would you like to hear from me? I'm Dr. Don Russell. I am a skilled trauma therapist. I'm a psychotherapist. I'm also an author of the new book, The Trauma Treatment Companion, that you can pick up on Amazon or on my website, store on my website. And I'm also a trainer, workshop presenter on the topic of trauma recovery, especially vicarious trauma and workplace stress management. So shout out to me and connect with me if you want to pursue conversations on those topics. Thanks so much for watching this video, and stay tuned for more videos on similar and different kinds of topics.